Okay. Hello, everybody. So I have a family here. This is my team that's joining me up here. And I'll introduce you to them in just a few moments. But it's good to be here. Thank you. And Christina, thank you for that. It was wonderful. And I think, can everybody mentalize Christina a bit, what that's like being in her family, what it was like being a mom? I think it was just very nice. Nice way to start this off today when we think about family work. So I'm going to talk about mentalization. This is what you've heard from Dr. Bleiberg yesterday and many of the others. And I'm just going to do a quick overview of mentalizing with the focus on family treatment. What I've done over the past 7 years really is family therapy from a mentalization-based perspective. Working at the Menninger Clinic on the adolescent unit, we actually see a lot of adolescents with emerging personality disorder, emotion dysregulation. And so it's been a nice place for me to learn the way to do this kind of work, and I'm thankful for the research that backs that and appreciative. So again, this is not original content. This is all, you'll see slides from various experts in the field, including the ones here, and I'm thankful for these. These guys have been and ladies have been my teachers throughout this time. So mentalizing, I gotta see slides here, is, according to Allen, Fonagy, and Bateman, and I actually have a couple books here for people to kind of peruse here on mentalizing. There's a handbook, and this is one of the first ones, Mentalizing Clinical Practice. But what it says is mentalizing is the most fundamental common factor among psychotherapeutic treatments. So as clinicians, we must conduct our treatment in a way that's engaging patients. We must mentalize our patients, and if we're doing so, we're being helpful, right? And in advocating for this, this is not new. The truth is we're already doing this. We've done this with our families, with our patients, with our friends, and so it's, again, think of it, it's not novel. It's not something that we're trying to reinvent, right? It's just something we're trying to focus on, and it gives actually a framework for how we think about this work. So mentalizing families. Agree with this? Does this look like somebody's family in here? You'll see a family. We're going to actually have a role play. And I'm going to introduce you to a family that we're going to follow throughout the time here, okay? Smith family. The Smith family presents for family therapy, experiencing significant anger, distrust, and ongoing conflict related to the youngest daughter, Tessa. Wave, Tessa. She's 12. Tessa recently took an overdose of her mother's Xanax. Her mother, Kelly, is here. And this led to acute hospitalization for Tessa. This is her first hospitalization. As part of the discharge plan from the hospital, the family psychiatrist recommended family therapy. Older sister, this is Allison, she's 17. She doesn't really understand why Tessa can't just obey the rules, be happy, stop cutting herself. Why does she do that? And just be normal. Single mom Kelly has struggled with depression ever since her husband and the kid's father, Justin, left the family 2 weeks before Tessa was born. Tessa has experienced temper tantrums throughout her life and has been bullied, marginalized socially, and generally experiences herself as feeling numb, alone, and abandoned. Tessa immerses herself in music, isolates from the family, and tends to explode, according to Kelly, for no apparent reason. Allison has been very successful academically, is well-liked and popular, and has taken on the role of caretaker for Tessa early on in her life. Allison recently accepted a scholarship at college, which was required to leave and go away from home. So this is actually a very typical family that we see on the adolescent unit. And unfortunately, we see them after many years where these cycles of non-mentalizing has taken place. So the lack of trust, they're good at doing this. They're good at being coercive with one another and not understanding one another, ultimately, right? So getting them to change, getting them to consider this is not going to be easy, right? But we're just going to do real quick this is before the family session. This is the day before, all right? This is at home. and I'm just going to let them action.
No, you can't take it. What? No, what? Can't you just stop? Be normal how? Yeah, it's easy for you to say that because you're perfect. You're going away. It's so easy for you. You don't know what I go through. You just have to stop. Stop what? What am I doing? I'm not doing anything. I was just sitting here. She just came in and started yelling at me.
Just leave her. Just come. We'll just go. We'll just have dinner by ourselves. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. But I can't believe we're going on. It's so hard. I'm so sick of this.
All right. Thank you, guys. You can come over here. All right, and yeah, have a seat because you're gonna stay with me up here and help me maintain my mentalizing. Okay, so thoughts about what you guys saw? Have I been in a session with this family before? All right. Okay. So we're going to try to understand. I'm briefly going to go over some of the concepts that you heard from Dr. Bleiberg. Just want to make sure you get a sense of what mentalizing is, right? And so defining mentalizing. Here's some handy definitions of what mentalizing is. Attending to mental states in self and others. We didn't see any of that, I think, happening, right? Holding mind in mind. Mindfulness of mind. This is one of my favorites. Understanding misunderstandings. Seeing oneself from the outside and others from the inside, and feeling felt. Thoughts about these? Does this kind of give you a good sense of what mentalizing is, what it feels like? So we think of, when I'm defining mentalizing, some people are like, oh, it's like empathy, right? I mean, it is, but the true territory of mentalizing, I think this has a pointer, really is not just feelings and thought, feelings in others, right? It's all of this. I'm thinking about what you're thinking, I'm thinking about what you're feeling, and I'm also thinking about what I'm feeling and thinking. It encompasses a lot more than just putting yourself in someone else's shoe. It certainly is that, right? We think about the mentalizing stance and the psychological aspects of mentalizing. We think of it, and we're going to see this. I'm going to attempt to insert some mentalizing with this family as we go into a session the next day, but it's going to be this inquisitive, curious, playful, and open-minded stance, and this not knowing, but I really want to know. Gosh, help me understand this. I don't quite get what's happening here. We're not trying to jump into the other person's mind, right? Why are you always doing this, Mom? Or, Tessa, all right? You're always trying to upset us. What are the ethical aspects of mentalizing? Goodwill, compassion, acceptance and forgiveness, respect, autonomy, and love. And again, thinking about mentalizing as a frame for any type, if you're doing, I think John Allen spoke to there's 1,500 different types of therapy out there, DBT, CBT, ACT, all these different types. But the common factor that Fonagy talks about is mentalizing. If we're doing this mentalizing, if we're attuning to the other person, slowing down, thinking about what's going in someone else's mind, then we're mentalizing, and hopefully we're being helpful. So, what leads to non-mentalizing? Strong emotions, right? You heard that from Dr. Bleiberg, from the team yesterday. You think of fear, anger, shame, infatuation's a good one, right? Can't really think about what's going on in my mind, in other people's mind when you're experiencing these things. This defensiveness and indifference. When I'm educated, and there's a lot of education with mentalization-based family therapy, is helping them understanding what is mentalizing. And the thing about mentalizing is, the thing I've learned throughout this is it's helpful to explain how I think about treatment. If I can't really do that and I don't really understand how things work, how do I expect the patient to do that and understand that? And so I think, we may not even use the word mentalizing, but at least sitting down and helping explain how do I think about this? How do I think about what we're going to try to do together? And I do explain to families, and the Lighthouse is a beautiful way to think about this, because it's for parents is to try to be, kids go up here so quickly, right, to this place of non-mentalizing, not being able to think about what's going on, anger, rage, or down here with this depression, apathy, no one cares about me, right? So the idea is if you go there with them, you're not able to really be supportive, right? You're not able to connect and help bring them, be that secure base to kind of bring them to a place where they can be curious, like, what just happened here? What am I feeling? Why am I so angry, right? It's not easy to do, and sometimes requires the parent to maybe seek their own support. But this is certainly not my slide, but this is Rover, I guess. And this is a good example of, can dogs mentalize? Any thoughts about that? They can? They can? Yeah? Well, this dog can, I think. He is being curious, right? He's being curious. He said, how must it feel to be you right now, boss? Why are you all red and shouty? So this idea of thinking about others and self. I keep getting into trouble over my rabbit habit. Why do I do it? Awareness of impact of affect. You're all upset and noisy. Maybe that's making you forget how much you really love me. And then not knowing. This idea that our minds are not transparent. We have no idea what's in the minds of someone else. And actually, that's not a bad thing. It can feel pretty good to not know. But sometimes with this hypermentalizing, we think we know. We think we know exactly why she's doing what she's doing. He's kind of, I know that I don't know what you must think, boss, but I can wonder. I can imagine what's in your mind. The mind can be a very scary place, and I think John Allen has talked about this. And he was talking about doing a group with patients, and I think he says the mind can be a very scary place, and that one of the patients says, yeah, and you don't want to go there alone, right? So going on this journey with the family, that's why I love about family therapy. And then narrative continuity, this is mentalizing self. Is there something about me and Rabbit that stemmed from my childhood, I wonder, right? That's that higher level kind of being able, that Dr. Bleiberg talked about, being able to get to that place of, gosh, why do I do what I do? All right? Is that helpful? Okay, so mentalizing our families. So I try to think about what is it like for a family to come into treatment. To say, okay, doctor, I'll come into family therapy, just, I'll go, no problem. I'll bring my kids, we'll talk about all the shame, we'll just get it on the table, right? That's not how it works, right? So it takes tremendous courage, trust, and sometimes desperation on the parts of families to present and engage in family therapy. So I think about it like putting themselves under a microscope, putting themselves with someone who they've just met. We're asking parents parents are asking for help to say, I don't know what's going on with my child. I have no idea. Help me. Families being willing to understand that they may be contributing to the presenting. We've talked a lot about this, right? And I'm certainly not about blame. I'm very explicit about this is not something you've caused, but let's think about this. Is there a little bit? Can you own maybe, because I'm going to ask Tessa to own 2% of this. I'm going to ask Allison to own a little bit. What would it be like, Mom, for you to own 2%, right? Can you imagine that, what that would be like? And it's just a bit, because I don't know where the rest of it goes. The 98%, who knows? This is what we leave to researchers, right? To help us figure out why, I don't know. But I do know that if you start to own your piece, what's that going to do for Tessa? If Mom is able to say, gosh, I must have missed something. What's that like for Tessa? Any thoughts? What might she feel? Supported? Validated?
She might be angry. And it might allow her then
Yeah. She might be able to say, you know what, I feel that it's okay to be angry. Any thoughts, Tessa, how you might feel? If they were able to own their peace?
Yeah, I would feel like everything wasn't my fault.
Yeah, right. Like y'all are making it, right? Yeah, blaming her. Okay, so opening up, being vulnerable, scary, changing behaviors. They've done this for years. Not easy to do, right? All right, some thoughts about family therapy in general. Anybody family therapist out there? Yeah, okay. So it provides this unique opportunity to kind of foster this mentalizing in relationships with family members. And of course, this is where it breaks down. I think family therapy, you're going to see it break down quicker than anywhere else, I think, in the context of a family. Family therapists, we emphasize the importance of communication, right? And that we encourage them to express. This is not new. Family therapists has done this forever. So the idea of mentalizing in relation to our own mind is like sometimes and you probably had this experience, like I say something and wow, I just learned something new about myself, right? So it's typically after we actually say something or something kind of comes out that we're like, oh, that's what I'm feeling, that's what I'm thinking. And that's why I think this idea of slowing down, getting them to kind of be curious about their mind and why did I just do that? And you'll see we're going to try to rewind this interaction in our session. Of course, anxiety. They say mentalizing begets mentalizing and non-mentalizing begets non-mentalizing, right? So the more we're mentalizing, the more it's going to encourage that. And anxiety, and specifically, I think, and I like this idea that it can bring in more heat than light, right? These intense feelings into these sessions. Family therapists can serve as a mediator, right? To kind of get them to slow down, to stop, to think about this. And then, of course, with mentalizing, sometimes we're in a session, we're not really talking about what happened last night. That's what we want to talk about, but if I can just get them to be curious about anything with one another, that's good practice. All right, so mentalization-based family therapy is actually there's a manual, and it's online, and it's free, actually. And I'll go over that briefly. It's in my slides, and I'll be honest with you, now that I'm thinking about what it might be like for you guys, I changed some slides and added some things. So if you'd like to give me your email address, I can get a notebook and I can email you. I just added some slides about kind of what is mentalizing. Most of it's the same, though. So when we're thinking about mentalizing objectives, like I said, this is manualized, but then in general, this is kind of what we're trying to do with our families, is consider the contributions of each family member. Someone asked, I tell my child to own 2%, that's, I'm going to lose them right there. And it's just about the right time, right? How do you kind of do that? And I think so much of this is modeling from parents. And then you start to see, maybe I can own my piece. And this promoting awareness of both mental states and self and others, using mentalizing to strengthen self-control capacity to regulate emotions. Sometimes I'm using DBT skills in session. It's not just exclusively mentalizing. Whatever skills I can use to help the family regulate, we might practice grounding skills, distress tolerance, whatever it might be as a family, especially when the emotions might be high in the moment. Again, I think helping parents understand this concept and taking on this stance with their child will promote the mentalizing within the context of their relationship. And so I kind of describe this as bringing them on as a psychologist or a scientist to kind of, let's understand I'm going to help you understand, and we're going to work together on understanding your child's mind. The reason I like social work, and I think in this field we try to look at the patient as the expert. They're going to teach us more than I think we're going to take that stance, and I like that stance of mentalizing because I'm not the expert. You guys have done this for so long. You guys are good at this, right? Are you willing? Are you willing to do something different? And I think taking that stance of, teach me, help me understand, teach me what happens in your mind, is a new approach sometimes for parents to take on. Like, gosh, my child has their own mind. I didn't really kind of think about that, or so much of it in parenting, I think, gets into, we may have touched on psychic equivalence yesterday, is what's in my mind is in their mind, and it's reality. And And who knows where that comes from, right? That's that 98%. I don't know if that's coming from their childhood coming up. It's the 90-10 reaction, if you're familiar with that, right? There's so much at play in those intense moments that's coming up for everybody. So we're practicing this skill within the context of family therapy, and we're shifting from these coercive cycles that you saw with Dr. Bleiberg yesterday, speaking to what happens with I think this is very powerful, but the powerful emotion in one person causing, it's kind of contagion, right? You see this, and we lose it so quickly. And then we could probably do this interaction for a good 2 hours, right? With people feeling alone, neglected, angry, taking on mom's emotions, mom feeling like she's a failure as a parent. I don't know what's in their mind, but this is what I'm imagining, right? Okay, so difficulties in mentalizing within the family context. I think about, here's where mentalizing breaks down. And if you can remember that story, it was kind of a long story about this family. But Tessa just got out of the hospital, right? She had a suicide attempt. And mom has her own depression. I was trying to lay it on thick, right? I mean, but this is truthfully what we see in some of our families at the clinic. But what causes what breakdown? What makes it difficult to mentalize in the family context? Interpersonal stress, so parent conflict, divorce, parents worried about self-injury or drugs. I can't think about anything other than my child's safety. Death within the family, or physical illness. Caregivers may be preoccupied with other concrete issues in life, so work, finances. Maybe there's a focus on grades. Maybe there's 4 kids in the house. It's hard to keep four minds in mind if you're a mom or a father or caregiver, right? I'm just imagining what that's like. Member withholding mental states. So I'm not going to talk about what's in my mind. It's not safe for some reason or another. Maybe there's alcoholism within the family, or maybe there's other trauma. So the child's not letting us in, right? We don't know what's going on, and that can be very scary. Because then we make up our own stories about what might be happening. And that can feel even more invalidating, right? Long-standing mental health problems, so depression, PTSD, these things, unresolved trauma. So poor boundaries within a family. Have you guys heard of a mom, or maybe a son kind of say, I wish my mom were here because she could explain this so much better than I can, right? But we have these poor boundaries within the family. And then this one is, I've heard this, unfortunately. Whenever you visit your father, you feel so sad afterwards. Shouldn't you stop seeing him? This is a divorced family, right? But it's this misuse of mentalizing. See this with maybe some antisocial person. They're actually pretty good at doing this, and unfortunately, it's for the dark side, right? Dark forces of evil. So, all right. So, how are we promoting mentalizing? We're this not knowing stance. We're encouraging them to explore mental states, engagement. Sometimes, now this family is probably not a family that is going to be too cold, right? In a session, they're going to have a lot of emotions. But there are families, have y'all heard you've seen Saturday Night Live, where, what was it, the simmering down or simmering? Right, we want to like get it going a bit. We want some emotion in the room so we can practice this skill. The contingent, marked responsive. So we're going to mark, gosh, Mom, that was really nice when you asked her that question. We're going to mark these mentalizing, and we're going to make sure they're understanding us. And so slowing down. We're going to be simple to the point, and then holding the balance, which we talked about yesterday. So maybe Tess is focusing so much on mom. Mom did this, mom did this. Maybe we're going to move it into, what about you, Tessa? What do you feel? What are you thinking? Maybe it's so much we're talking about emotions. Maybe there's so much emotions in the room, we're going to insert that rational piece. Like, what was she thinking? I get what she was feeling, but what was she thinking? So that's that balance, self and others. So we're inviting multiple perspectives. What else could it be? Why else might she be in her room upset? Why else might she be listening to this music? Is it just to piss mom off? Maybe, but there might be other reasons, right? So acknowledging what you don't know, ask them for help. These here and now experiences shows actually this is what happens at home, and kind of marking for the family. This seems like something we can work on. We're going to use self-disclosure. We're going to acknowledge when I make a mistake and I didn't get it right, and then we're going to be playful, humorous, and kind of have this humble attitude. So what things can undermine mentalizing? We're going to see trying to be clever, complicated, long interventions, psychobabble, which mentalizing in itself could be considered psychobabble, right? So we may lose them, right? We don't want to necessarily have these theory-based assumptions where we know what's kind of going on in your mind, or we know how this works already, we've seen it before. You're losing them. So the idea about mentalizing, somebody was telling me that I've read all these books about all these skills and what to do, and it's kind of like me as a therapist. If I'm not sitting there with them and being with them in the moment, then I'm not mentalizing them. I'm truly not. I've lost them. So I just kind of realized this in talking. It's like parents probably feel the same way. Like, okay, this skill, when do I do this skill? And they're not able to be present. They're not able to be that lighthouse, right? Because it's so much kind of going on. Which direction do I go? Here I go again, feeling like a failure, right? So attributing with certainty, I think that's certainly powerful when I know why she's doing what she's doing. I know what you're thinking. Quite aversive. Long silences. It's a very interactive way of doing treatment. So you'll see this. We're going to try it. We're going to do a family session here in a minute, but this inquisitive stance, holding the balance, and terminating non-mentalizing interactions. And a lot of times this is a very powerful intervention here, is just to stop, right? Not like in the face, but just kind of, can we stop for a second? Because I'm lost. I'm not sure what just happened here. And then highlighting good mentalizing, reinforcing the positive mentalizing. These are just some various techniques. They're all in here. They're all probably pretty self-explanatory. For me, let's see, the affect focus is going towards that affect, trying to understand what someone's feeling. And it can really feel like people are mentalizing in your session when really it's what we call pseudo-mentalizing. It's kind of pretend, right? You might see some of pretend mode in our session that we'll have. Contrary moves, all that is going between the thoughts and the feelings, self and others. It's holding that balance. Okay, I'm not going to go over some of this. The loop is an intervention. We don't really have time to, this is typically a 2 or 3 day training, but the loop is really, it's a tool for understanding these interactions, these non-mentalizing interactions. And this can actually be individual or group or family. But what you're going to first see is you're noticing and naming this interaction. Guys, did you just see what happened here? Can we slow down? When Tessa rolled her eyes, I was thinking, gosh, what's in your mind? What was happening, Tessa, when you rolled your eyes? You know, Mom, what were you thinking? Well, what were you feeling? What just happened here? Did this happen? Yes, she does it all the time. And you have this kind of interaction, and you say, okay, so, all right, well, and this isn't like just you start 1, 2, and 3. You're going to kind of go it's more like a vortex. It's kind of all over the place, right? You're going to go back and forth, but you'll mentalize the moment. So what's it feel like right now when Tessa rolls her eyes and mom does what she does, right? What's that feel like right now? Bring it to the here and now. And then at some point, generalizing this. Does this feel, does this happen other times that you feel this way? And generalize that. And is this something you guys want to work on, right? Very brief description. But the loop, observing the interaction, I noticed that, checking for consensus. Is this the way you guys see it? Is this an issue for you? When you start raising your voice, she stops listening. In your family, everyone talks at the same time. Mentalizing the moment. What do you think about what Tessa's feeling right now? Generalizing. She feels this. Mom feels this. You recognize this is something that happens at home, and then kind of reviewing. And the idea here is you might be clever with one of them we've used in a family is beating a dead horse. She's just on me about grades all the time. It's like beating a dead horse. Gosh, so Mom's good at beating, we're going to add humor, right? She's good at beating this horse. It's a poor horse, right? does mom do it in other times? Does this happen? Does mom do it, right? Why do you think she does this? I don't know. Maybe she's concerned about me. I don't know if we can get there. But the idea is to promote that within the family. And then they can leave, go home. Mom starts doing it. What do we encourage them to do? Mom, can we push a pause button? Because, this is just what happened in session. And then we had already kind of developed a plan for when this happens, what do? We try to laugh. We have a skill. We do something. Does that make sense? All right. This is the free manual. Tons of videos, this is the whole manual for MDFT is free online. Although I heard maybe it's shutting down. Laura was mentioning maybe she saw something, so get on it soon, look at it. Hopefully not. And the idea here is it's an open manual. If you have ideas, they want to, build this up so it's free and everybody can kind of see it, right? Okay, I went through very quickly, and there was a fire alarm. So I want to ensure that people understood everything I said. Yes, ma'am.
The pretend stance, or the pretend.
The pretend mode?
Versus like the real mode. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. Non-mentalizing. She's talking, and John Allen refers to this as bullshitting, right? We all do this. Now, is that different than lying? Yeah. Is it, or is it pretend? Why wouldn't we pretend? Kids pretend. This is how we learn, right? This is a development. She may not know what's in her mind, right? I think you'll see a bit of pretend in our role play here. Yeah. Do we have time for that? Or?
Yeah, I think we're kind of half an hour behind. So if you,
okay.
I think it's we can rather cut a little bit bigger. You can constrict a little bit, and then we can.
Okay.
Coffee. Yeah.
So I just want to be clear. Families need to be ready for family therapy. Okay. What we just saw, this family may not be ready. Just because a psychiatrist recommends them to do family work doesn't mean they're ready. And it actually can cause more damage than be helpful. And it may be we just spend more time with the family or the parents. Or in my mind, it's okay to maybe bring in mom and sister as long as we have an understanding that we're all doing this. We're all going to try to come together at some point. But the idea is just making sure the family's ready and they're willing. Sometimes it takes some time to get there. So what we're going to try is a role play. So let's bring the chairs back together real quickly. And all you're going to see, there's going to be content and process here, right? I'm going to sit here. Yes, perfect. Make sure everybody can see us a little bit. Okay. So the idea is I'm going to just try to model the stance. That's all I'm going to try to do. I'm not sure where we're going to get with this. But I think role play is so fun. And this is, if you go to a mentalizing training, you're going to do a lot of role playing. You're going to be in groups. And we have like 8 role plays because you're going to practice this stance. Does anybody actually want to be the therapist? Actually? Want to give it a try? Because normally we have a coach and then the therapist gives it a try. But okay, let's pull the fire alarm again. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do our best with the mic here. Although we could probably turn this one on if you want to have it in your, at least pick up a little bit. Okay. Well, guys, welcome back. Next day. So how's the last week been? Or how was the last week? I saw you guys last Tuesday, I think. How's things been going?
Fine.
Fine? Fine? Mom, what about you? You made a noise there. I'm not quite sure.
You think things are fine? Yeah, they've been fine. I'm exhausted.
You're exhausted. Mm-hmm. Do you think she's exhausted?
Yeah.
Why do you think she's exhausted?
It's the same old thing.
Same old thing.
She's always exhausted.
She's always exhausted. Why's Mom exhausted? Can you tell us, Mom, why are you exhausted?
I mean, do you see her arms?
No, I didn't see her arms. What are you thinking right now? What's happening in your mind, Tessa?
I'm really mad at her for bringing that up.
You're really mad. You look mad. I see that. Okay. I'm sorry, Tessa. I didn't realize you were upset. And Mom, did you know that made her mad when you said that? Or why would that make her mad?
Of course, she doesn't want me talking about it. We have to talk about it. That's why we're here.
Okay. Well, let's slow down a second, because I missed something, and I do this. Like I said, I do this a lot, so I miss a lot of things. And Tessa, I guess I should have maybe checked in with you first to check in to see how you're feeling. And I actually heard you were feeling fine, so I guess that's maybe why I didn't ask. But still, do you feel comfortable talking about this right now with your mom and your sister in the room?
No.
You don't? Okay.
I feel like they're always attacking me.
You feel like they're always attacking. Okay. So that's important for us to hear. Can we move on from this, and maybe we can check in on the is that okay? Can we come back to that, Mom?
Sure.
It sounds like she's not ready to quite talk about that. But I guess I wonder, in general, I guess has there been an interaction that actually didn't kind of go very well? We talked about some of the interactions that happened at home,
She's still isolating, and I know you said she shouldn't be doing that, so I
She's
try to get her
still-
out of her room, but it doesn't work.
Okay. She's still isolating. Okay. All right. We're kind of focused on Tessa right now. Do you guys notice that? Does that happen a lot at home?
All the time, every day, last night.
Okay. Could you guys do me a favor real quick? Mom, could you, actually, I want to ask Allison, would you sit in Tessa's chair and be Tessa for a moment? Okay, we're going to try something. Remember, we try to have fun here. I know there's a lot going on, but I'm wondering if maybe, Tessa, would you be willing to try this out? I want them to kind of appreciate what it might be like for you. Will you be Allison right now? Can you be Allison?
I guess
You
so.
laugh a bit. Yeah? Okay. All right. So give me a moment when you felt Allison. Is this okay, Allison? Does it still?
Yeah.
When was Allison, when was it focusing on you? Let's try this. Let's try a little role play. Let's try to have fun. Give it a try. Remember an interaction?
Last night,
Okay. What was happening last night?
my mom came into my room and started yelling at me for no reason. So Allison came in and was telling me that I always just bother everyone and just make everyone mad. So,
Yeah?
yeah.
Y'all remember this? What happened? Okay. All right. Okay. Now, kind of give it a. What were you hearing? Just kind of give it to her, like she was kind of focusing on you. Kind of give it a try.
Yeah.
Try it out.
So like actually say
Yeah.
what she was saying to me?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. Tessa, you're always really annoying and you just make everyone mad all the time. Like, look at Mom over there. She's about to cry and she's really angry. And it's because you were in the room and not talking to us or doing anything.
Is that what she says?
That's what basically she says.
Okay. Well, what do you think? You're saying kind of shaking your head no.
I mean, I don't know if I said it that way. I mean, she doesn't know what she puts my mom through.
What do you, hold on a second. So if you're Allison, what do you think it's like to be Allison? You have an idea? You may not care, I don't know. I'm just curious.
I think it's fine to be Allison. She's like perfect and always knows all the right answers.
You're perfect? Is she perfect? Is Allison perfect, Mom?
No, she's not perfect. But
She's not perfect.
she's pretty close.
She's pretty close.
Yeah, you act like she is.
Okay. All right, we're going to pause. Just thoughts, right? Any thoughts about what you're seeing? You might go in a direction. Are they mentalizing? Are they...
I would like stop. Well,
Go ahead.
role playing,
Yeah.
But so when she was saying, about she doesn't want to talk about the self-injury, which totally fine. But I guess I was wondering if you could sort of stay with that, with her. What makes it? I don't know. What's making it so difficult for you to talk about this? Because I thought she said something like I feel attacked, and I thought like that might be. It seems like there was. Mom had gotten really behind that since after this.
Yeah, when it comes to self-injury, that's where I if she says I don't want to talk about...
I'm not talking about self-injury. We're talking about how she feels attacked.
Okay.
Right? I mean, and I think that what you're talking about is, but but really maybe addressing an essential issue.
Okay.
Maybe that needs to solve.
So maybe I went, yeah, and as a family therapist, you probably felt this anxiety of where do I go here? What do I do with this, right? And that,
it was a conscious choice that you were like, I'm not going to talk about the attack because I don't want this. We're not going to do. I'm not officially charged.
and that's the thing. I honestly don't know why I went that direction, but I think it's something about being attacked. And I wanted actually where I was going with it. I think was, can we kind of role play a little bit and see if they can get a sense of what it might be attacked? I don't know. We didn't quite get there yet. Other thoughts about what's happening here?
I think just as a comment, you play someone with the emotion, you play that very well.
Tessa?
That I see that attitude I see in the office, absolutely.
And what happens to you when you see that attitude? What's that like for you?
Like, how do I react?
Yeah, what's it feel like to see, to have that for you as a therapist? Yeah.
My feelings on it? Actually, I typically can look at it and go, okay, this person's really upset, and so I feel actually a little compassion for them, and but I also want to give them a voice, but I also want to kind of still create that space so everyone feels comfortable talking.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, there's always this look that sometimes I see. I'm like, it's like, should I go there or should I not? Right? And sometimes you want to go there. You want to push them a bit. Okay. I think we probably need to stop. Anyway, this is just the idea here is just being curious, wondering what's going in someone else's mind. It feels like to me, I'm kind of rushing or maybe going here, but I want to kind of balance it, right? I want to have fun a little bit, and I want them to kind of be able to look at themselves. I mean, we got to sisters perfect, really? Is that? I mean, that's what you think, but do you think that, sister? What's it like for her to tell you she's perfect, right? We're talking about.
Really, the mom saying, like, well, no, but it's clearly, she was saying relative to Tessa. I mean, like, relative to Tessa, she isn't.
Yeah.
And would you, like,
I would have just kept going with mom.
And I'm like, like,
The-
that's really invalidating to Tessa. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, there's this big elephant in the room, right?
Yeah.
Like, clearly, mom saying that.
Yeah. There's something about family therapy that, and I've seen this, I have a 9-year-old that's in treatment right now with a 6-year-old brother. Tantrum started as soon as brother was born. And they're bright family. She's been in treatment the last 3 years by herself. They've not been in treatment. And as soon as they came into the family therapy, she's like, hey, this is great. It's not just about me. And and then mom took on the same, she's a doctor. She was able to kind of pick this up and be curious. And then about 6 sessions later, the 9-year-old's like, Chris, I need to tell you something. My mom and I were talking here, and these tantrums that I have. And she actually stopped calling them tantrums. She calls them meltdowns because it's MD, like mom, she said. But she's like, I don't know why. But we were kind of being curious. We were talking to one another, and I think it was when my brother was born and it's like, oh, I didn't know a 9-year-old could do this work. But it was like this modeling that mom had instead of, there was fighting and aggressive. This girl would pick up a stick and chase mom around the house and look at her in the eyes and said, baby, quit being a baby, and you're crying. And now there's no hitting. We set some ground rules. There's, you bring in all what you learn as a family therapist, but this idea of modeling curiosity, I think hopefully.
Would you acknowledge the fact that if you rewound them, would you try to address the mom specifically then, explicitly? Like, in the tone, it might be that relative to Tessa, she's definitely the model child, or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, ideally, we would have rewound that interaction, right? I don't know that Tessa's ready to talk about the self-injury in this big context, at least she just got to the hospital, right? But anyway, work to do.
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
I kind of really like this approach because, like being down with family, especially working with adolescents, all of a sudden I see the need for adolescents to change, and if that was to change, it would be so much better.
Yeah.
And kind of being able to put the perspective of what do you see going on for her? What happens here? I don't know. I feel like this is beneficial.
Yeah. There's videos online. Check it out. This is a very good website. If you want to write your email down, I can send you the rest of these slides. Thank you guys so much, and sorry for the discussion. Thank you guys for our family. Wonderful.